Low mortgage rates are continuing to defy many people's expectations. And if you liked the rates in 2019, many experts are predicting that 2020 will be even better. The chance to refinance for current homeowners is an attractive option. In this episode, I spoke to PropLogic's VP of Product, David Daley, about the pros and cons of the refinance business for title agents, creating opportunities to educate consumers about refinancing, and how to streamline operations to make the refinances easier for their teams to complete. I'm Amanda Farrell, and this is Title Talks. Today I have with me David Daley, who's our VP of Product here at PropLogic's, and he has a very long history in refinances and in real estate. So, welcome. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it and look forward to spending a few minutes with you talking about this.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and all that jazz.
Good. I love talking about myself, so this is very easy. So my name is Dave Daley, and I've been with PropLogic's now for the better part of a year, and bleeding green, love it. My background, I came out of technology, so I was originally focused on title production. So I spent a number of years with my own company working on automating the title production, grabbing data across the country, analyzing it, and streamlining that whole workflow. I've worked with an underwriter dealing with national agents. I've had an opportunity to work with local agents. So I have a lot of experience working with large agents, small agents, technology, real estate in general, the closing process. So that's kind of my passion.
So in our State of the Industry report that we just released, 74% of title professionals said they handle mostly resales. Why do you think more aren't doing refinances now that rates are so low?
Difficult to build a business on just those transactions, right? Because as rates are low, you have demand and volume, right? We see it today. Rates are great. The challenge is that when the rates go up, the first thing that happens is the refis will dry up. Right? Because people aren't going to go out of a loan that they have obtained at a 4% or 4.25% or 5% for, a 6% loan. It doesn't make sense. So predictability. Refis are unpredictable, right? It's very hard to know if you're going to have them from year to year. With that comes the challenge that you don't staff to, you can't build your business on it. So what do you focus on? Purchase business. Because regardless of the rates, people are going to buy a home. So that's one in itself, a very big variable or component, I think, that most title agents look at. If you look at the large lenders, some of the online lenders, right? They have title companies they work with. They've streamlined the process. They've made some amazing tools with technology. They have data that they're utilizing in a very efficient manner that streamlines that transaction and really fits in that swim lane and allows them to produce quickly. You need to build your business. For most title agents, it's tried and true. Purchase business is going to get it done.
Why should title companies then, you think, have a marketing strategy or an internal process that would suit more refinances?
So if you think about a refinance transaction, and if you were to say, well, is it less work than what I have to require for a purchase transaction? I would say yes, right? Because you are removing parties, right? I mean, you don't deal with the realtors. There's no buyers involved in this transaction. So it's one party, the lender, and if you think about what the future looks like, I'm on my camera, I see my loan, I have my rate, I look at my estimate, everything is great. Sometime shortly thereafter, I hit a button. Now, I would need wet signatures to be compliant in my state, but as you see this to move across the country, you're going to find that realistically, you're going to be able to complete that transaction on your phone. So the consumer, I think, is going to be the one that drives what the demand is, right? I mean, they always kind of set the table for what we as an industry need to respond to, because at the end of the day, we're serving the public and the consumer. So whether it's buying a home or refinancing a transaction with their lender, getting a HELOC, doing an equity, I think it's our charter, and our North Star to, solve to that problem.
A lot of times people don't really fully understand all the process behind closing on a home, and a lot of people don't even really know what a title agent is and what they do. And so I think, title agents who can, really create a good strategy to be there, to be the educator, to be the first one that they make contact with that consumer and leave a lasting impression, you can leverage that in the future to even do something as simple as sending out emails to people who have maybe even never considered refinancing, but you've had that contact with them, and if you've made that lasting impression, they're going to remember you. They're going to remember what you did for them at their closing, and they're probably going to be likely to consider that kind of a business, with you in the future if you are keeping them educated and explaining to them, you might be a perfect candidate for a refinance. Have you ever considered that kind of a thing? So there's lots of ways I think title agents can kind of leverage this in a really simple way to gain more business.
I agree. The interesting thing that you mentioned, and I agree with it, is diversifying your portfolio of products, right? I mean, every business is always looking for a way to safeguard themselves from a downturn in the economy, and you always talk about the risks that come into being a business owner, right? But you also look at it from the perspective of, hey, when things are great, how do I participate in them? And so one of the other questions is like, well, why do 74% participate in purchase, and is there this lack of wanting to do a refinance? Well, you don't wake up on Tuesday when the rates went low and said, okay, I'm a refinance person now and I can handle them all. So I think as you look towards, the folks that are doing them today, we've experienced tremendous growth in that transaction. There was a boom right now in the refinance market that was somewhat unexpected if you talk to certain economists. It happened, and when the next one comes through, where are you at as a company? What have you done to participate in it? And maybe you don't, and I think that's fine. I think that's the beauty of running a business. You figure out what you want to say yes to, but more importantly, what you want to say no to. I just think that as technology continues to become more of a linchpin to make this a streamlined transaction and create an opportunity for you to potentially have a revenue stream that today may seem fragmented and cumbersome, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, you know what? With these tools, now I have these relationships, and all of a sudden now you've got another audience you can go to.
So is there an easy way for a title company to integrate more refinances into their process if they're doing mainly resells? What are the things they should consider if they want to do more refinance work?
I would look personally, like I look at the national players or some of the underwriters with their direct ops. And they do have a team that's exclusively focused on dealing with the refinance transaction, especially like in a market like this, where there's such enormous volume. So if you looked towards what some people are doing very successfully and wanted to replicate that, and that becomes somewhat of a trick bag, because depending on your size of your company and what your staffing looks like and what tools you have, that's where I think there might be a bit of a haves and have-nots. It's probably what can I do with what I have, and then where could I go by doing 1, 2, or 3, right? Because people, process, technology, those are the things that are going to be your ingredients to be able to figure out how you are going to excel in one, transaction. So you may be wired and doing great with your purchase business, and you may have a way to carve off a little piece of your company that when a great market hits, it's like, awesome, I'm ready for it, we're ready to go, and I've got this in place. Figure out what you're dealing with today, and then, what are some things that I could look at that might give me an opportunity to excel in this.
For sure. I definitely think we're at a very interesting intersection right now in the process of in real estate, whether you work on the title side, lender, or if you're a real estate agent. And I definitely think that fortune will favor the bold, as they say, if you're willing to if you're willing to first pose those questions, like you're saying, if this makes sense for your business. I think it'll definitely pay off in the future.
Yeah, there's no perfect science in how to get to end game always, but there are things that you can take on as a consumer, as a business owner, just to make sure that you're being thoughtful about it, and that you're not afraid to take action.
Right, exactly.
That's an important part of all of it. You got to do something. So
Title Talks is produced by PropLogix, a title support company committed to helping you close better. Original music is by Cole Sando. Original graphics by Jordan Norris. You can find more episodes and subscribe to the Title Talks wherever you listen to podcasts. Until then, happy closings. committed to helping you close better. Original music is by Cole Sando. Original graphics by Jordan Norris. You can find more episodes and subscribe to the Title Talks wherever you listen to podcasts. Until then, happy closings.